I'm an earthworm woman. In the mornings, I fill my tanks by breathing the energy of the sea and tasting the power of the sun penetrating my skin. There's an air of no care, which comes with age, and I hold my head up proudly, liking who I've become. I'm not afraid of smells, or dirt, or to walk barefoot across the stones. Sometimes I wade through the shallow water just to embrace its fluid element, my hair often crazy and loose, being pulled by and flying in the wind. I can be glamorous if I want to, although makeup was never my thing. And I've learnt that life is for living, not fearing, and so I absorb it like a sponge. Good morning and grand rising to everyone. I'm trying my hardest this morning, I have to say, to be really strong. And I've got this beautiful man down here I'm going to be talking to about his book and everything. But yesterday I found out some really tragic news about a friend's 18-year-old who jumped off a building, and it's just absolutely so devastating to hear. I haven't been able to stop thinking about it, and that's that I'm not going to be able to get rid of for a long time, I'm sure. But suicide is real. I don't know why he took his life. But he only went up there really recently, up to Queensland, and his mum is a friend of mine. So, what I'm trying to get, where am I going? Depression links in with partly what we're talking about here. I'm just going to bring Brady in because everybody knows him, or a lot of people know him. And yeah, I found this news out yesterday, and I just like, he's 18, an 18-year-old thinking that's it. I can't deal with this anymore. It's very devastating, and a lot of young people I know deal with depressive thoughts. Young people, old people, middle people, whatever. I met a woman on the beach this morning, a psychologist, and she said, I was talking to her about it a bit, and her first thing was medication. Like, does that work? God knows. Anyway, Brady, you've written a book called The Art of Shhhh, and I remember you talking about this a while back, and I thought, I've got to get that book, and now I've just read it, and it's very, you just, as you read it, you're going, oh my God, that's totally connect with that. People can't deny that they have these inner voices and these inner critics and these self-sabotaging things. I mean, maybe some people don't. I don't know. Tell me a bit about, you have to read the book to know about a little bit about your background. Tell me how you were. Don't tell me, tell everyone how you were for many, many years.
Started when I was born. Really, it was a very unhappy childhood. A lot of rejection because I was a crying baby, and so I was crying from the second I was born, and I cried for a year non-stop. Just cried and cried and cried and cried and cried. And my mum had a toddler, and then my sisters had Down syndrome, so she had a Down syndrome toddler, and then another toddler, and then me that just would not stop crying.
Wow.
And she ended up sort of chucking me into the cot a few times, and she was just fed up like it would be. And it's a long story. It's in my other book. The bigger life story is in the Smiley Face Fatigues book. But turns out that my lower sacrum was out. When you're born, your back should pop in, and my lower sacrum was out. So that's why she'd pick me up, and I'd arch my back, and she'd put me down, and I'd cling to her leg. So I was in pain.
Wow.
And it wasn't any of their fault, obviously. But There was no
Well, I was
bonding
actually
in that
gonna say
first.
that it could be, often they do cranial osteopathy with babies. Our son cried quite a bit in the beginning, and he had a really bad birth, like hitting his head. Did you have a cesarean, or were you a cesarean, or
No,
do you think your birth was particularly difficult?
don't think so. No,
You just remember popping out easily.
no, I don't actually.
Wow, so crying. So in a way, you were kind of purging something very early on.
Maybe, I don't know, but it certainly didn't set me up for a very close family, or just
Yeah,
very early in the piece. I just wasn't wanted, and no one could help me, and I was bad, and everything was wrong.
right.
So that I just carried that theme right through sort of 35 years. I was kicked out of. I was a very naughty child and got kicked out of school when I was 14, and very angry and very unhappy, and didn't really sort of have many relationships throughout my life, and then it just culminated in a quite a long and vicious sort of 7 or 8 year depression, to which I got to the end of and just realised. It was almost like one day I turned around and I just faced. It's like you're getting chased around in your own head by all of these thoughts and all of this potential and all of these
Mm,
your internal boogeymans, and I just turned around and I just surrendered one day. It's like turning around and facing the bear in the woods. Um, and as soon as I did that, it sort of it throws the game out, and then I started various sort of spiritual
mm.
courses, and a couple of other different circles that I sat in, that made me start
Just
realizing that I wasn't my thoughts. My depression wasn't my thoughts; it was coming from my old pain, and so I started shushing my
yeah.
different thoughts and
Just
dissecting and
to
having a look.
just for 1 minute. No. Sorry, I can't help sharing jokes around that, but, you're a stand-up comedian, so you're okay with bad jokes as well as good. Okay,
Oh,
you're
that was a long time ago.
I'm just saying, what is it what was it that was that link where you suddenly decided to turn? What do you think happened? What happened in your brain or yourself?
I was always 100% personal responsibility taker. I never took any drugs for it. I never blamed anyone. I never
Mm,
blamed my childhood. I achieved quite a lot in that place, and so I was always taking 100% personal responsibility. And I think
yeah,
the more you do that, the more conditioned you are to keep looking in the mirror. But it was probably just more out of just sheer exhaustion. I
got to
was
the
just
end,
being
got to a
chased
point.
around by so long,
Yeah.
and I was so exhausted of being my own enemy that I just surrendered. Not in a surrender and let it take over. Surrendering, I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, let's
Yep.
just face this and see what it is, and then it
Maybe
darts into
even
the shadows. A lot of the time, even the thoughts that I was having at that time, you'd turn around and there'd be nothing there. It was almost like there'd be sort of boo thoughts and shadows and hidey sort of stuff going on in our own minds that aren't really
mm,
connected to anything. That depression wasn't. It was
mm,
quite foundationless in so many
yep.
ways. There was nothing to it at all. Um,
Maybe you actually stopped as well. Uh, and the reason I'm kinda linked you up with, the conversation I had the other day with Ege, because, she has cancer, and she said she tried everything, tried everything, tried everything, and she had a very bizarre, a hard childhood. She was rejected, and she was bullied and everything, and she didn't know why. She's like a beautiful 6-foot woman. Um, and she said, it wasn't until she kinda stopped and really looked inside that things started to work for her and change. And so maybe, I mean, you said the art of shush, which is, which is part of it. It's about and that's about quietening the brain, your head, the voices, but also, allowing yourself to stop sometimes might have might have even instigated that.
well,
Mm,
it's to me, it was more about separating myself from myself. I used to think that me thinking was
separate.
me, but it's
Yeah.
not. It's the programming. It's the old pain dictating, and
Mm,
it's the measure and the labels and the competition and the agenda and the speculation, the expectation, and all that stuff that keeps us out of our moment is born from that old pain, and that is not
mm,
us. It's our programming, and it's based on what we think is real, but it's not real at all. I mean, when I really started shushing and really started looking at who was shushing who, it's very evident that there's two separate things going on here. There's this doing thinking guy that sort of wanted everything and was a needy little prick, and self sabotaged himself, and there was my true self, which comes from a very different place. Which if you want where to sort of look at the thinking side of it, it was more the part that
mm.
would have thoughts and ponder, and it was
Yep,
much
yep,
much calmer place. That was
yep.
my true
So that
self. That
other
was
one's probably the ego, the needy
yeah
prick, the
yeah,
ego.
and And I think
Yeah.
when you get to a sort of, it seems to be about mid-30s, you have to go. It's perfect. It was perfect for me going
Mm.
through all of that shit. All of that stuff that we've been through had to happen. It's meant
Mm.
to happen. And then around mid-30s, it would seem for a lot of people, you start to sort of have a look at what that did to serve you, or if you take
Yeah.
responsibility for it, that is, or you go downhill from there as well.
Mm.
Um,
No, I can relate to that. I mean, I believe I probably wasted all my 20s, um,
it wasn't
having
wasted.
absolutely no sorry?
Wasn't wasted. It's perfect.
Oh, yeah, having absolutely no worth, though, and having absolutely no idea of who I was. I mean, I
Still
was
perfect.
going through the motions, and I was doing it a lot, but, and putting myself out as an actor um, and even trying to do things uh, which were a little bit out of my zone, but at the same time, having this self-destructive voice constantly telling me that I was, "What are you doing? That exactly what's in your book," you know?
And that was what was meant to happen. It looks like it was a tragedy, but it's actually a triumph
Mm.
if you take responsibility for it. It was
Yeah.
perfect. We've all got those stories, and the people who don't have those stories are kind of the more fucked up people than all. We were meant
Yeah,
to go through
perhaps.
all of that stuff. You're gifted. It was a true
Uh,
blessing if you did go through all that stuff then, and tempered out of it. Um, but then the work starts. I was taking a lot of responsibility all that time, and it felt like it was a real task trying to battle that sort of self worth issue stuff
mm.
and all of the rest that came with it. And then I finally got to a point where I took responsibility for it and realized a whole heap of stuff. And then the work starts. You don't realize this and then it's done.
Yeah, then
You
you've got
realize
to
this and then it starts. And then you're like, oh, and it's still going. It should always keep going in a way.
what I
The
did was
more you,
I left England, came here around that time, um, and so I took a different kind of choice. I'm not saying I worked myself all out when I got here, but I just took a big jump and a big risk. Um, when our perceptions exceptionally sensitively to the energy and bullshit around us, and we're not able to recognize it, we don't self-evaluate, it can cause trauma, and we think we are responsible for. Um, I've got just a couple of things I wanted to ask you, connecting up. Well, I don't know. You can tell your story, but you said, comedy you've done comedy. Was that where did that come into things? I'm really interested to know what led you to do that.
uh,
It's very brave.
I, well, I guess intuition, really. I don't really know. I was selling houses at the time, even though I left school very
Okay.
young. I was always sort of a responsibility taker enough to sort of be a reasonably high achiever. And so I was selling houses in Sydney when I was
Mm,
20, and
wow.
and I just realised that I just wasn't going to sit there. I could have, I was making lots of money, and I could have been the big man in the real estate with the BMW and stuff. But I just always chose adventure and chose and lived in my intuition even back then.
Mm,
And so I
yep,
just decided that I originally wanted to be a television presenter, but I thought, I've always tried to do the hardest thing I can possibly do. If I'm going
yep.
to be a television presenter, then I'll go and do comedy, because if I can do comedy, then I can present anything.
A
And so that was kind
absolutely.
of the catalyst for it. But yeah, it's
Were you funny?
it's hard.
Were you funny when you were younger, like as a child, or you just the funniness was hidden because of the you're the bad kid?
No, I was
You're
always the
the
class clown. I was
you're the
always sort
clown.
of funny, but it's a very different thing. Making your
Yeah,
friends laugh in class or over a beer is a very different thing to stand-up comedy.
or having a beer in
Yeah.
class. Yep, yeah. Um, so the stand-up, how did you find that? Doing the stand-up
Right.
comedy?
It's horrible. It's horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, eventually when you get good at it, it's much more enjoyable, but it's a really interesting sort of character makeup that you have to be to just live that life almost, let alone be able to take that punishment. You've sort of got to be this sociopathic, night owl, addict, masochist, sort of loner.
I think it
It's a
is
weird life.
sociopathic. I agree, because it can destroy. It could absolutely destroy if you were there with your jokes and not a single peep from the audience. What do you do? You
Oh,
just
that
wanna
happened many times. And that's where the sociopathic side sort of kicks in. You almost have to almost unhealthily want to just this crowd to love you and for you to control them. That's
yeah.
almost the fuel that you have to fuel on, really, because it's so horrible, and you want to run for it from it. So you almost need to flip that back on itself and make them want to love you so much that you keep
Mm,
lining up for just this punishment all the time. This is why so many comedians are so crazy. And then it's 9 o'clock at night, and you've just got
mm,
this mega adrenaline spike. like 220 BPM, like fighter pilot levels of heart rate.
Yeah.
And then you might do really well, and so then you're out all night, and then you're drinking, and then you go home and smoke weed, or you crash because you died, and then you go home and smoke weed, and then you feel like shit, and it's just a really
Mm.
interesting roller coaster of life.
Well, I kind of get that from doing plays. You
Yeah,
have a real buzz afterwards.
yeah.
Um, even from waitressing many years ago. Um, so what have I written down here? I'm trying to read my comments. What did you tell me? I'm interested to know. Okay, so carry on to how you were going through all the stuff you were finding. So, tell me about the path before you got to write this book.
It was just time for me to make these changes time for me. It was my time, like I discussed. It was that age for me to turn around and face it.
Mm,
And so then the teachers came, and then I'd always read the Power of Now and Conversations with God since I was a little kid. I remember Mum and Dad giving me conversations with God, and so I'd always sort of been open to it. But it was then that was really time to start living that rather than just knowing it. So a few
I don't know that.
spiritual sort of stuff
Yeah.
came to me, and then some teachers and different things, and then when I learned how to not think, that took the labels off things. So instead of labeling everything from my old pain, then which gave it a foothold, and then a meaning, and then some competition, and then a gender in that competition, and then a big sense of myself, which we're not. So a big sense of identity that doesn't serve us, and then you've got this speculation, and then expectation, and this constant hamster wheel and self
It's quite
annihilation. It
scientific, I
just
have to
goes
say.
around. Yeah,
It's quite scientific. You've really got a lot of parts that you're talking about there.
yeah.
That's interesting. You're not schizophrenic, Um, it's really interesting that you can separate all these sort of parts to me.
Well, when I took the labels off, then the old pain didn't have a foothold, and so I really
Mm,
started crying a lot. I
yeah.
cried and cried and cried and cried every night for about 3 years. I would just cry. And I wasn't crying because of the story. I wasn't crying for what dad did and this happened and all the rejection. I was just crying to get that stored energy out of my body, the old pain out of my body. It was a very physical process, almost
Mm.
felt like an exorcism of just projecting out this old pain that
Purge,
was stored in my
like a
body.
purge. Yeah.
And then once the old pain, it was the old pain that was dictating the thoughts. So it was chicken and egg kind of thing. Once I took the labels away from the power of the label away from the old pain, then it didn't have a foothold. Then the old pain could come out. And then I was in
Mm,
my intuition. And then you're living in this place that's sort of having thoughts and pondering and floating around. And
mm,
it goes much, much deeper than that. But then you're out of the doing, thinking part of your
mm.
head,
I think,
which is causing all this damage. It's the biggest problem in the world today, is what we're talking about here.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we can I mean, that can happen at various times in your life, maybe the purging, the however people do it. You know, I'll just quickly say, I remember it was leading into 2000. I just got here from England, and I was in Sydney, and everyone thought the whole world was gonna end. Remember? 1999 and
Yeah.
2000 or something was gonna happen. And I was on a beach with people I didn't really know and my brother, somewhere in New South Wales, and I remember just moving away just before, the midnight, and I just looked out at the sea, and this, overwhelming this crying just came out of me. I could not stop it. It was just like I felt I was purging something.
Mm.
Um, I don't know. I'm just sharing that there. So
And,
how long did your
it's a huge, it's a massive thing to choose, because when we're young, we're taught, don't touch the hot stove because that equals pain, but try and
mm,
solve that maths problem. When we get older, we need to do exactly the opposite thing. We spend
mm,
so much time trying to figure out why that man did that to us, or
yeah.
what happened in our life, and try to solve this. But just don't go near the pain. Don't go anywhere near halt. Just sitting in the pain of it. Drink, take drugs, run away, go for money, end up in wrong relationships. Just anything. Just don't sit on the lounge and feel like shit and actually process that old pain. But we'll try and solve it. We go over it and over it and over and over it, and it keeps us awake at night, and we let it dictate to us. We just have to
I
sit with
wonder
that old
why.
pain, and then it will process. It's not actually that hard. Well,
Yeah.
it's a very
I wonder
unnatural
why they
thing.
don't want us to process
Well,
the
it hurts.
pain.
Hurts a
Yeah,
lot.
but is it connected a little bit to like I told you, spoke to a psychologist this morning on the beach, And I was talking to her about suicide and blah blah blah, and someone else, and she said, "Oh, have they considered medication?" And it's like you said, let's just we've got to put a
Mm.
stop on it, because we got to. Why is that person depressed? Why has that person got these destructive voices, self sabotage? Um, I mean, I wonder how many people do it. I wonder. Resentment is terrible. Why are you saying that? That's true. Um, Resentment. What's that connected to? Everyone loves what you're doing. Would love to be helping him from Central Coast, but have no idea how to get in contact with like-minded people. Say, oh, I don't know who she's talking to, me or you. Anyway, and someone said before that you are a great commentator. Anyway, when you do your lives, you have this obviously this natural. It just rolls with you. Um, how do you feel about yourself? That's jumping, and then we'll go back. How do you feel about yourself now? Do you feel comfortable in you
Oh,
as
sorry, you
you?
just dropped out right in the middle. You're talking about when
Oh,
I'm doing the videos. It was
vital.
just right,
Um,
right on the one word. Sorry.
no, sorry. I said somebody said before that you're an amazing commentator.
Yeah,
Your lives just roll,
yeah, I
and
got
I'm
that.
saying I'll come back to where you were the crying, but how do you feel about Brady Gunn now? How do you feel in yourself?
Well, great, because when you lose so much of your identity and you're not the identity that you've created, and you're living in your intuition, then I'm not running the show anymore. I just live in my intuition. A lot of
Mm,
people say, "Good on you for starting a stand in the park." I say, "I
mm.
didn't really start a stand in the park. I was stood in that park." And then
Right.
for me to have stood there for 3 months before anybody came, it wasn't like I was sort of making that decision either. I was just standing there waiting for another feeling to come, to either
Mm.
go or stay or do whatever. I was stood in the park and I kept standing there until another feeling came. So
But it was
when
your
the
intuition.
reason that my videos resonate so much, and yeah, there's jokes in there, and yeah, it's saying what everybody's feeling, but it's actually people's truth resonating with my truth. I'm in
Mm.
my truth. I'm coming from my intuition. I never planned to do a video in my life. I never planned to stand in a park. And when I do those videos, I just open my mouth and let the words that want to come out. It's almost like an art, really. Like I just let what
Yes.
has to come out. I don't plan on saying anything. I don't mean to say anything. I have no agenda. It's cost me so much money doing this, so it's not a money thing.
Mm.
And so it's just it's my truth. The truth is coming out of me, and people are resonating with my truth.
Yeah.
They, as much as with what I'm saying, they're listening to where I'm
Yours.
coming from, not the words that I'm saying, because of that
Yeah.
reason. So I'm not in control of
And
my
they
show.
connect with it. Yeah. Yeah. That's right. Hold on to pain issues. That's what hurts. Yeah. Others. That's what hurts us and others. Absolutely holding on. So tell me a bit more about, okay. Uh, Depression. I don't know how to talk about depression. Depression's a major thing. Why, I wonder, are so many young people depressed?
Well,
Um,
there's actually no such thing as depression when you think about it. There's only the resistance of the depression. We're all in pain. We've all got old pain. We've all got stored pain in our bodies. And if we sat in that old pain and just let the feeling out of that old pain rather than giving it a label of depression, and
mm,
went into the old pain and let it process, that's what it is. Depression is the reflection. It's not actually the problem. It's just stored
right.
pain coming out. There's
But it
no
can
such thing
actually,
as depression. There's only resistance of the depression. If we took the label of
ah,
depression off it, there was a certain time. If you don't call, I was really lonely my whole life, and there was a certain time, and it's in the book. There was a certain
mm,
time when I sat there on a Sunday afternoon, and it was a classic time where I'd feel really lonely because people would be out partying in the sun on a Sunday afternoon, and they'd have partners and friends, and I was just sitting in. I was
mm,
living in the office for my business at the time, and I sat there. There would be a classic time where I would sat there feeling lonely, but I
mm-hmm.
sat there that one Sunday afternoon. I just didn't call it loneliness. I just didn't give it that label. And without that
Mm,
label, because I would have called it, right, I'm lonely. And I'm lonely because everyone's got a girlfriend and I don't. Everyone's out in the sun and they're having fun in the beer garden. I don't hear, and all of this and all of this. And then it would come down, it would cascade off that one label. When you don't give it that one label of loneliness, then what is it? It's just a feeling that you used to call loneliness in your body. And so if you just
yeah,
sit in that feeling of what you used to call loneliness without the label of it, it doesn't have a foothold, it doesn't have any meaning, it doesn't have a story below it, and then it can process. It's the labels that are the problem.
yeah. So what is it? I mean, so that's I remember being like that in walking the streets in London, just amongst so many people, and just well, I would have called it lonely, but alone, alone maybe, but also I felt invisible. I felt like nobody could see me. And a lot of people, I think you've lived in London before, you'd see people walking down the street crying sometimes, but people didn't see it, you know.
Mm.
So they were actually probably doing the right thing, like you said. They're getting through.
Well, it depends who's doing the crying. If you're crying because of the story, if you're crying from poor me, and because of that reason, then you're
Mm,
perpetuating the pain. If you're crying the
yeah,
actual feeling from your
from the
body
emotion.
with no
Yeah.
label on it, if you don't put that label on it, that's the emotion processing. That's the
Mm.
energy leaving your body. If you're crying, the perpetual thinking and the perpetual and the crying that's attached to that is actually perpetuating the problem, not releasing it. So it depends who's doing the crying. Is it the needy little fucker or is it the true self?
Probably the truth, I would imagine. Yeah. Well, I didn't
Well, I
ask
cried for
them, but
years and it wasn't my true self. It was the
mm,
needy little fucker. It was poor me. I was crying for a
yeah.
reason. I mean, so yeah, most
Did you
people are
feel
crying
when
from
you
the
were
needy.
in that did you feel when you were like that you actually pushed people away, that they
Of
actually went
course.
the
Yeah.
yeah, they didn't wanna know because, um
Well, no one can feed that. It's a vortex that when you're in that space, that nothing can help. You crave a partner, and you'll just eat them alive because the needy fucker just wants more and more and
mm,
more. If you get the money, then it doesn't help. All the drugs in the world don't help. You can't. That is a
no,
true vortex. There is no bottom to that black hole.
no, I agree.
Can't feed
I
that
mean,
part of yourself.
I've been on my own for a while now, and I feel being absolutely in myself, totally in who I am, who Rahana is, just gives so much strength, and, um, you don't allow those things in. I don't feel those things anymore. I don't know if they've gone, whatever, but, reading the book was, like, to do with my past. I don't feel, all those, those people telling that stopping me from loving keeps you in unloving relationship, tells you that you can't get a better job, makes you aggressive, judges people, places, jealous, competitive, all those sort of things, you know? I'm not saying I'm a perfect individual, or anything like that, but I feel I've been through some sort of process. Um, and I haven't cried. I haven't cried in years. I was almost crying a minute ago because that poor darling boy. But um, tell me how. So from the crying after that, and you went through all the stuff. How did you get to the idea of this book and the idea of shh?
It just came to me, and the book wrote itself. I never meant to
Mm.
write a book. I had the idea to write down what was going on for me. It was in 2011 that I wrote it, and I had an
Oh,
idea to
really?
write down what
2011. Mm,
yeah, and I had an
okay.
idea to write down what I was doing, and within about a minute, I didn't even want to drive to Port Macquarie with my mum. I thought I'll go and write it at Mum's house where I've got peace and I'm out of my bubble. And I booked a flight. I didn't even want to drive there. I booked a flight within about a minute of thinking about writing this book. It was Australia Day 2012, so very early 2012, and I wrote it all by hand. I just went up there and sat there and wrote it all by hand. So I
Mm,
didn't mean to. My intuition wrote that book as well. I've
wow.
written 4 books. I never meant to write any books. I never meant
Yeah.
to do anything.
Well, I think it's a way of offloading, isn't it? It's getting it out. I mean, I write poems now, and I never used to write poetry at all. I never thought I could do anything, but I love it. I write one line, and then I'm going to go back to that, and they just form. They just do exactly what you're talking about. They just come to you, um,
Yeah,
and then
and if we are living in our intuition, then what is our intuition? I believe in a
yeah,
one energy up there, and the intuition is the cable for the little kid up there playing we
yeah,
being experienced in this game. So
mm,
my intuition
yep,
is the cable between the little kid with the Xbox controller.
mm,
And so when you're in your intuition, you are just God's art, or you're the universe's art. So you're just letting whatever it wants to come out.
mm,
It's the one. You're just the brush, not the actual artist. But life is art. We're all God's art in all our pain and all our misery and all our joy and all of our
hope,
craziness and all of our earth. We are being
yep,
experienced. We're all brain
yeah,
cells in God's head, or we're tentacles of God's octopus. And I'm not religious,
no,
but there's this one energy. There's something way bigger going on here. And if we
yeah,
do look at who was shushing who, so there was something that was being shushed. That was almost like there's two separate guys going on here, my true
mm,
self and the needy fucker. And so, who
mm,
is that true self? Our intuition is the cabled for us to be experienced in a finite world. As an infinite being, we're being experienced in a finite world through duality, hot and cold, and yes and no, and good and bad, and pain and life and death, because that's what the infinite can't experience itself as, because it's
Mm.
infinite. So we come down here into this computer game to be played. It's all about, it's the best thing you can do is get yourself out of your own way to get the best experience by your intuition, by being experienced in the game. I mean, that table's not there. I mean, it's scientifically proven that what's behind me isn't there. And then I look at it, the
What
table's not
table?
there. We're living in an illusion. So
Yeah,
when you
this, s yeah, well, that's an interesting way of seeing it all, absolutely, and it is that's a very philosophical way, but it is real. That's true.
Well, it's also a
Maybe
very scientific way. I mean,
mm,
science and spirituality and philosophy you could
it
almost
is.
change the title on some of those books and not change the content. Quantum physics proves everything that I just said. It's not
Yep.
even up for debate. So, but what does that mean for us spiritually? It comes with great responsibility if you really want to take yourself on in this moment. If we've manifested this moment for ourselves in this crazy world, then where's our responsibility in that? If we
Mm.
chose it, then the game starts.
And I'm imagining you're not thinking, "Is that a cat or a dog?" There's a
No,
doggy
it's a
behind
film.
me.
Sister.
Um, oh, yes, sorry, sister. You're not a cat. Mine are sleeping now. Um, what was I gonna say?
I know.
Oh, imagining that within where you are and where people are, there's still gonna be, days of shit, like anger. Anger is an energy, as Public Image said. Um, we're allowed to be expressive in how we feel about stuff, and it doesn't always go the right way and all of that. Do you feel those are things anger is something we have to always get rid of, or are
No,
we allowed to
no.
be? Yeah.
That's not what it says in the book. It says feel your
No.
feelings. Go right
Yeah.
into them. The aim is not to shush anything to into a corner here. The aim is to shush it up onto the big screen at the drive-through
Yep.
and get right in there. I think the second part of the answer to that is that once you have sort of got rid of enough of your thinking, moved enough of the old pain in your standing, enough in your intuition, then a lot of this presents now as energy, world energy, anger is an energy. A lot of the stuff that we're feeling in the moment, like that anger at the guy in the traffic, for instance, can be energies
Mm.
that are attached to us. And this is what my fourth book's about, which is about to come out, is about, it's called The Art of Moving Energy. So it's about how to identify ourselves as energy and then how to be almost the bouncer on our own, or the doorman on our own nightclub, as to how not to let other people's energy in, not to let world energy in, how to kick some
Yeah.
energy that's attached to us out, and how to, quite practical techniques about how to actually sort of physically, and this is the stuff that I was doing at the time that I didn't even know I was doing as well,
Mm.
about a practical exercise about how to move energy, how to let energy, good energy, and how to move energy out. So a lot, when you have moved the old pain, then a lot of that anger isn't us, whether it's attached to us or not. It actually
Mm.
isn't old. It actually isn't old pain. It's an energy that's attached to us through
Mm.
whoever, another
From
person, or and that was
from
the
our
one I
past, do you
ultimately.
think?
Not
From our
necessarily. Not no
right.
no.
Yep.
And it's a
But
very different thing when you're going into the old pain, as per the art of Shush, and when you're and versus moving energy, like in the new book. It's a very different process. Old pain is sort of embodied in us, and once you do that exorcism almost,
yeah.
then your intuition. But energy sort of are almost external to us. They're attached and they're almost attacking us, and they come from other people. They come from the world. They embody other people, which is what
Mm.
we've seen in the last 5 years. And so it's
Yep.
actually, it's quite subtle if you didn't know what you were doing, but they're very different when you do.
Mm. Wow, it's really interesting. Is there anyone I've only read this book, so you've got 3 other books I didn't even realize there, and obviously you wanna keep selling these books because I think, The Wanker and the Traffic has probably had a shit of mourning. Um, yeah, I know, but the thing is that's his to deal with, isn't it, as well? Um,
Well, is
how
it?
can
If
people
we take it on, if we get the shits and we take on his anger, then that's attached to us.
Yeah, yeah, that's true, which I do. I'm
Yeah,
guilty of
I
that
do
one.
sometimes too. Sometimes it's quite fun. Just yell at someone in the traffic and like, oh, that was
Oof.
actually quite fun.
I love yelling, so I've been taking my son out for driving, he's got a car, but he's learning manual, so, I'm going with him, and he's a good driver, but, oh my god, people are so rude still to a
Yeah.
learner. They cut them up, they try to do all kinds of things, and, we're, like, beeping, and I'm like the whole way. Yeah,
Feel sorry for these kids these days. They
yeah.
cop it, man.
Well, I mean, we got more. I think we have more lunatics on the road, to be honest, especially in
Well,
Melbourne.
and that the energy, this negative energies that we're talking about here, has really is really ramping up. It's an all-out attack from these negative energies that are embodied through people in the world that we've all seen. This sort of rabid, frothy, sort of psycho people with the blue hair, or that were sort of the vaxxers, and it's sort of this energy is embodied in different people, and it's a and this is the good versus evil battle, is what's going on
Yeah.
here now. So there is a lot more anger in the world. There's a lot more frustration. There's a lot more depression because of this
Mm,
energy that's come in, but
yeah.
there's also a lot more good energy as well. The angry energy is far more noticeable because of the nature of it, obviously, but how it manifests. But there's a real um, cloud, a beautiful cloud of good energy that's just hovering
Uh,
there. That's quite silent, but it's very noticeable if you
absolutely.
tune in. But this is
Absolutely.
what's going on at the moment. That's why there's
Yeah.
more rabid morons, because this good versus evil battle is a real thing.
Mm. I wonder if they can feel the good energy when you get close to them. They're like, "Ugh, that's you don't want that near me.
Absolutely.
I'm
And
in
that's
my
why they attack it.
aggression."
They're attacking the reflection.
Yeah.
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 But a
Yeah.
lot of these people, if you really want to put a word on it, a lot of these people that we're watching are possessed. They are. There's negative
True.
energies, whether you
I
call them
did see
entities
that.
or energies, it doesn't matter, but they're actually possessed. And when I was saying the other day, I was very public, very early in the COVID stuff with the stand in the
Yeah.
park. And so there was a
Mm.
there's a big wall of very personal and very negative energy coming
Yeah.
directly at me. And it had a certain feeling to it if you tuned into it. And then when that sort of
Mm.
died down again, then the next one was maybe the voice to Parliament here in Australia. And so it was almost, even though they were different people and some of them were the same, it was almost a very similar energy coming at me. This sort of rabid, you couldn't reason with them. They weren't listening to what you were
Mm.
saying. And then when
No.
that died down, a lot of these woke sort of transcends stuff is exactly the same energy. These bad energies, or whatever you want to call them, almost embody different people and come at good energy. That's the
Mm.
war.
Yeah, I do think that people were, if you look back before this last 5 years, people were really programmed into a lot of that stuff beforehand. That all think the same thing. We all think like that. They called it political correctness then, rather than woke, and we call it woke, um, but yeah, so be politically correct about everything, and that was the lead up to, now you do this because it's politically correct, or it's the right thing to do that for your grandmother mentality. um but yeah, I see a lot of, someone said, or Marie said, zombie, a lot of zombies around, a lot of people who are not, they're just not aware or something. They're I find it quite interesting, because then I feel like it allows me to be freer, the more zombified or unaware they are. Like, I mean, I obviously, talking obviously, sometimes on the beach, I just do things, and like I'm singing or I'm this and that, and I think, well, they're not even aware. A lot of people they just walk in their own zone, and maybe they've got those things in their ears, but yeah, I do think we've moved, 100% feel we've moved into these two auras, one maybe more positive than the other, and it's up to us to either try and just be protect ourselves from the shit side. I don't know. I don't know
Yeah.
what's
And that's why it's sort of a danger in these freedom circles, for a lot of people still saying, if we just wake everybody up, if everybody just wake up,
yeah,
we'll be all
yeah.
right. It's not. Numbers are the game, but it's not it's a numbers game, but numbers aren't the game. This is going to be a
Mm.
split society. If you're putting your focus on that, then you're pushing shit up a hill. You're going to get left
Yeah.
behind, because it's just not going to happen.
Because they're
And that's
awake in their own
fine.
world. They are awake to what they believe, and we're awake in a different way to what's going on and what's in us and what's uh,
Well,
our
and
spiritual feel.
they might manifest their reality that way and create a
Yeah,
totally different world in that direction. It's up to
that's
us to
right.
manifest their own reality in our moment by moment,
Mm.
um,
I
to
absolutely
go in that
agree.
direction. We don't need
We
them.
can't Yeah, you can't change anyone, and sometimes it's just easier just to be quiet and, let them whatever. Does anyone have any, disconnected from themselves? Yeah, that is what it is. I have to say, the ones I feel sorry for the most really are young people at the moment, because they can't bring themselves to think this, what you're talking about, what we're talking about. They just couldn't go there. Not all, of course, not all young people. I'm talking about maybe in their 20s. They know we had this. Some of them know we had this ridiculous time when we were locked out of here and there, and we had to do this. But they don't know the bigger picture, and that's scary.
Well, they're not meant to either. I didn't give a fuck about anything when I was 20. The government and whatever. Like maybe I would have. There's a few activists out there that did, but they're just going through their own stuff like we did. It's just their version of. We went through our version of it. The people, our generations went through war and stuff that we didn't. This is just their version of
Yeah,
their
we've always.
childhood. They're not meant to know. Just they'll fix this. These kids will be fine. I have the utmost faith in them. They're very, very, very different people. They know shit that we don't even know.
That's
But
true. I agree with that.
they'll be fine. They'll save this, but they're not meant to yet. They need to get to 35, and then they'll realise it. And it's
Mm,
going to be that's going to be a really pivotal moment in humanity when these kids do reach that age. Because
mm,
imagine knowing everything that we know about the world and what's going on now that we've discovered. Imagine them
mm.
just realising that in a split second, like a kid who just found out they're adopted. They're
Yeah,
just going to wake up like a real Truman Show moment for them in a whole
well,
heap deeper sort of computer
in
game
about
than
12
we
years
sort
or
of
something.
did, and they're going
Yeah.
to be the real force to be reckoned with. But they're also going to need a lot of help, and I think that's where we're missing these kids is that there's way too much negativity aimed at them. We're not helping them. Everyone that's bitching about these kids, are they down at the youth program helping out and volunteering? Are they sort of adopting the kid and trying to I don't know, write a book, do anything to help these kids? No one's helping them, but we're all blaming them, and we created it,
Mm.
and they need a lot of help. And it's tragedy. Like the young bloke sort of jumping off a building is an absolute tragedy. Surely we should stop as a society and say, hold on, we've got a real problem here. Like we live in paradise. This is a world full of abundance and opportunity and love and amazingness. And people are taking a tablet to be happy and to the point where these kids are doing that.
Oh, well, that's it.
And
There's so many
we
young
will.
people.
We will.
Yeah, so many young people are taking medication, ADHD, all of those things are so in fact, that, psychologist I met on the beach, she said she only became a psychologist in the last 2 years, and about 5 years ago, she realized she had ADHD, and so she thought, "Oh, I'm gonna go into that." But, it is a I have my questions around that, to the extent, the amount of people obviously who have got that now. I do believe there are some people who have obviously their brains work in different ways, and they, like I've talked to Bess early on in this Earthworm Woman thing, but I don't know. Is it an easy way of just going? Because I know a lot of young people have take medication. A lot of young people for all of that. Um,
And there's so
uh,
many factors in it. It could be it's diet, it's
mm,
parasites. These synthetic parasites we've been sprayed with in the hydrogels, but also natural
yeah.
parasites as well. But more so, it comes down to the energetic thing. If we raise our frequency, then people will raise with us. You almost can't go down and address all of these issues. It's such a tangled mess that there's no possible way of unpicking everything and untangling it. It's crazy. But when we raise our frequency and do the work on ourselves and raise the earth's frequency, then those people will not only, a lot of these people that have done this to us won't even exist because they can't operate in that frequency. Sick
Mm,
people have done this. Sick people have done this, some very sick things to some very sick people in the last 5 years and before,
yeah.
obviously. But when we're
Gotcha.
not sick anymore, when the community isn't sick anymore, then these sick people that did this can't even exist. They don't even exist in that frequency. It's not even connecting. And so a lot of these ADHD, I mean, there's labels put on it where there shouldn't be labels for another sort of point, but a lot of the problems in the world, whether it's physical sickness, whether it's mental sickness, is a frequency issue. And the
Mm.
best way that we can combat that is to raise our frequency, raise our vibe, and then they will follow us.
I just
The
want
answer to all of the problems of the world are here.
yeah, yeah.
But that's the
Um,
last place people want to look because it's so hard. It's much easier to people would
well,
rather
that
fight a
woman
war with a pitchfork than go
I'll
inside
just
their
go back
old
to
pain and take responsibility for
sorry.
themselves.
Yeah. I just wanna go back to that woman again, and I won't keep going back, but, she's someone I spoke to probably about 2 years ago. Now she said she'd been a psychologist for 2 years, um, because her dog is very cute and it likes my dog, and she said, "Oh, it's not my dog. It's, it's my niece's." and my niece dropped dead at 26, and we think it was the vaxxers, but she's never talked more about that. But I put her in a poem because that line just, and I could see her sucking back in after she'd said that, like, shit, I shouldn't have said that, but that's what I really feel. But shouldn't say those words. And I've never talked to her more, and I will one day, because her and her dog, Gus, are in my poem. And it was about people, and people. What was it about? I guess it was about people and what they're holding on to, what they're holding in. I can't remember what that poem was about, but I think it was about, we got to get stuff out, and she was obviously holding on to so much pain that her niece, at 26, just dropped dead.
Mm.
So that's, can't remember what we were saying before then. Somebody put a message up here, and I don't particularly like going into the discussion about AI, but they were asking you what your thoughts were on AI. Myself, I hate it, but anyway.
It is what it is. So I don't deal with anything that I'm not having a direct experience with. And so if it's not affecting me, I do a lot in my direct experience. I really take a lot of action with something
Yeah.
that I can have a direct experience with, but I don't concern myself with anything outside of that. AI is not the beast that it looks like. It looks really scary, and they want us to think it is because that's the only real tool they've got going forward. And yeah, this comes with problems, but tech's like a pit bull. It depends on the owner, from the little kid under his sheets at 3 o'clock in the morning with his iPhone, right up to the owners of Facebook. Whoever owns tech creates the it's either a vicious beast or a tame little puppy dog that wants its tummy rubbed, and it's brought a lot of good. It really has brought so
Yeah.
much good. We've got each other in the palm of our hands. It's like God herself in the palm of our hands. We're all connected with everybody in the world. It's brought so much information. A lot of
Tech.
this,
Yeah.
a lot of this,
Yeah.
a lot of this resistance couldn't have taken place. The tech is the very thing that they use to create what's happened in the last 5 years. The tech is the very thing that's going to solve it as well. But AI, it's already suffocating in its own shit. They can't. AI self learns on itself, and so anything pre 2022 on the internet is like gold to AI because it knows that it didn't piss on itself. Anything after 2022, it's already just mud. It's spinning its wheels at the bottom of its own hill because it can't trust itself. And we're talking about it taking over lots of different jobs, and it will. But we're also looking at it fucking a whole heap of stuff up. A legal
I
profession
don't
is
really
going to be dead in the
understand that,
water,
but
but it's creating precedent. You've got to have precedents in law, so you've got to say this judge ruled on this, and it's precedent. AI is making
mm,
it up. They're making up judges, they're making
mm,
up cases, they're making up dates, they're just spitting shit out. It's not the beast that it looks like, and it doesn't really. I mean, you can. I'm not scared of anything you can switch off with the fucking PowerPoint.
yeah.
Anyway, it's nowhere near the beast that it looks like. And tech,
Mm,
this is a tech revolution, but this is our tech revolution. We own this tech revolution. Everything is open source right now. They
mm.
can't hide, whereas the blockchain gives us the sovereignty that we're looking for. This is a brilliant, brilliant thing.
Well,
And
it's really
AI.
interesting that you said it can actually destroy itself, or whatever it can, whatever the words were you used there. I
Well,
never
and it's
thought about
also
that.
evident that for every technology, there's an equal and opposite technology.
Mm.
They'll build something and then it'll just get hacked, and they'll build something and then, I mean, little kids could take down some of this stuff. They're so
Yeah.
smart. And it's all open source now. You used to have to probably hack NASA to get some of these really big technology. Now it's just open source. Everything is completely open knowledge. And when you look at the power grid side of things as well, they can't hold this free energy back anymore. I mean, there's been free energy around for years and years and years and years and years. Now
Mm.
everything's so transparent. Everybody's going to have a free energy machine in their house within 10 or 20 years. They won't be able to have the rains that they've had through power and through like oil, through technology, through the education system, through the medical system. Everything's coming apart, and AI is the only thing that looks scary in it, really, to be honest at all, except for what the government's doing to us. But that's nowhere near as bad as it looks either. And so I'm not worried about anything. We'll be fine. This is a brilliant, brilliant, very exciting time to be alive. It just
So,
looks bad.
I know that's what I try to think as well. But it looks shit. Yes, it looks bad all the time. And we were talking before we came on about what's in the blood and things like that. Did you want to touch on that or not?
Yeah. I got a live blood analysis on Friday, and there's like I'm pretty good. She showed me some other stuff, and some of the stuff is like these hydrogels, and because that is the other side of this AI argument, is them putting us online. So she's looking at blood that's got sort of, some of it's got microchips in there with barcodes on them, and pretty wild sort of stuff. And you can see the quantum dots trying to find each other in there, and I've got them in us as well. They're spraying us with it all the time.
So
But
how on
the
earth are
human
they
body's got a
getting?
remarkable capacity to shit stuff out. I mean, all of that stuff that is in all of these blood can be gone in, can be processed. The human body's a remarkable thing, and so even them trying to put us online, that's why they needed booster after booster after booster after
Mm.
booster, because that we have to be chock full of this shit. And the human body's, Mother Nature is a remarkable thing. So,
I wonder
but we've got
how
to
on
be
earth
prepared for a split
though.
society. Some people will be just a walking microchip. But if you don't want to be, if you found a higher resonance and you refuse that, that's not in your direct experience, and you reject that, you don't give your power to that, then it's not going to be. So even them putting us online,
How you sorry?
even
Putting
them
us
putting
on.
us online is not as scary as it looks.
Um, how would you remove a how would you get a microchip in you for a start, I wonder?
Oh, they're spraying us with it, shedding, lots of different ways. A lot of
So it just actually
these
forms.
chemtrails are not weather modification.
Oh, I
They're
know.
finding
Yeah,
they're
exactly.
finding lithium in the snow in Canada, and a lot of
Mm,
it's they're spraying us with graphene oxide. They're spraying us with
yep.
the hydrogels. The quantum dots are in that. So there's no real avoiding it. But all you've got to do is detox. That's it.
Just always detox, that's the thing, isn't it? Um, speaking of detox, if anyone wants to buy anything through Grasses of Life, and just do a little ad here, and I've got another ad coming up. Grasses of Life is a sponsor of Earthworm Woman, and he sells castor oil and fulvic acid and lots of different things. And if you go to grassesoflife.com.au and say Earthworm Woman 25, when you're purchasing, you'll get 10% off. Okay,
Cool.
that's that. Yeah, I mean, I try as much as I can to have black seed oil and all of those things. Apparently, something called augmented NAC, which I'm going to try and get hold of. So yeah, and as I said, my friend's in England at the moment, and you know, all she's doing is sneezing. She said they're just spraying to buggery there.
And it can't
Um,
keep going. They can't keep spraying forever and ever and ever. They can't keep creating this weather forever and ever and ever. They couldn't create enough weather to flood us all out, like a lot of people think they are. This is
mm,
what we're seeing here is an evil energy lashing out and whiplashing out in an angry frenzy because it's going down the gurgler. It's spinning down the drain and taking what it can get on the way out and trying to pretend like it's fighting for its life. This energy is, when you really sort of actually boil it down, it's so few people and it's so nasty, but it's such a small speck of what's going on when you actually look around. No one wants it. No one agrees with it. It's so top heavy, and it can't
well,
last.
if people who deny it actually knew, they wouldn't want it, yes, but they're in their denial. You know, some people who absolutely adamant say, "No, no, no, there's nothing. There's all normal. That's just an aeroplane." You know, I'm sure most of us had those sort of slight arguments, stroke disagreementsy things on either online or in person with people. Um,
I don't.
no,
Well,
uh,
no, they don't matter. They look like they matter, but they're just a reflection of the energy that we need to move away from. And so,
yeah,
no, there's far too many
I,
people concerning themselves with that. They're either going to go that way in their reality, or they're not even there
yeah.
anyway. If you really want to boil it down.
I have stopped. I have stopped doing that, but I did, and for a long time, I was really trying to get some people in my family on that. Like, no, so I thought, what's the point? Exactly that. That if they're that way, that's fine. That's their path. That's their journey.
Well,
So how do people?
taking responsibility for them is a direct offload of our personal responsibility to move forward in the ways that we should. We think we're
Mm,
doing good things by trying to wake all those people up, but we're
mm,
actually just offloading personal responsibility for our own growth by trying to make them grow.
mm.
We're addressing the reflection rather than the true self.
So you wrote this book 11 years ago. How did you sell it
About
then? Because what?
14 years ago, yeah.
Wow, what were you doing at that point?
I was always been in business, so I had a business at that stage.
Right. So
Yeah.
how did you sell your book, or you did
I
you
put it
try
on
and?
Amazon in
Mm.
2014 and left it there, and I think I sold about 6 copies. Well, I never really wrote it to sell it.
Mm.
Um,
Well, if
yeah,
people do wanna buy it, is that's where they go?
yeah.
To Amazon?
BradyGunn.com. If you're overseas, then go to Amazon, but we don't like Amazon, so go to BradyGunn.com, and then
Yep.
it comes from me.
Okay. And
And
obviously you
there's
got
three
other.
books on there. There's one, this that's the art of Shhhh there, and the next one is going to be the art of moving energy. And then that one is the book that I wrote about starting Stand in the Park. It's got a lot of my life story in there, and then a lot of a sort of a commentary of what was going on in the first 2 years of COVID. It's a really, really important history book. It's a very
Yeah.
tough going read because it's just, you look back and it's worse looking back on what was going on and what the politicians were doing and saying
Mm.
than it was at the time. Everybody should have one of those. That book will
Did
really come
you
into its own in about 20 years.
did
And
you
then there's
write
that.
that as you went then?
No, no, I wrote that a few years ago. Yeah. And then
And what
that
was
one's, I was traveling around the world. It's called The Art of Backpacking. I was traveling around the world for years and I was a comedian at the time. So it's sort of a comedy adventure bio book. It's really funny. It's just all the quirky stuff of backpacking. I ended up in Afghanistan and Pakistan and all over the place. And so that's a good book too. It's funny.
Mm.
They're all
Well,
on Brady Gunn.
I'm going to get other people's books on here as well. So even if you wanted to, I can promote them through here as well. If you
Yeah,
wanted different times, I go through um, different. Well, I've only started Earthworm Woman about 6 months ago, but yeah, I want to incorporate all kinds of health. Obviously, that's mental health. The backpacking book is that I'm assuming it's not a like a here's a castle in Castlemaine or something. It's more about your head during backpacking?
it was just all the observational quirks and the silly
Mm.
situations, the adventures that I ended up in. So it's sort of like going backpacking with a comedian, really, I
Yeah.
guess. It's pretty funny. It's this funny book.
Mm.
I blogged the whole journey, which is big for me because I'm such a tech moron.
Yeah.
And there was no phones or anything back then. I was just sort of sitting in ancient internet cafes typing out my blogs of what had happened to me. And it was very lucky that I
Oh,
did because that's the crux of that book. But
yeah.
um, it's just a funny book.
Writing things down is so important. I mean, I do that on my phone on the beach, like on docs, whatever. I think getting it out is really like even if you can be one way in your head, feeling one way, and then you've written something, got it out of you, and you're just like, it's gone.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's moved on. Oh, Wasada, there's my sister. Oh, it's the first time I had family member on here. They're doing whatever they can. Oh, she's talking about the skies. So she's my sister on board.
Oh,
We're
cool.
very close. We've always been very close, and we, you know, both on the same path this way. And her beautiful wife. Um, anyway, so any questions from the audience? Anybody got anything they have always wanted to ask Brady? But um, thank you for being you, Brady. And that's right. You are what you see. No, what we see. I think you don't. Yeah, you don't put out any. You seem very calm. If you say from someone who was a nervous or who was, everything's fearful. Do you feel when you do lives? Is it just a natural thing now for you?
Yeah, but I'm much calmer now. It was
Mm,
very obvious that a lot of energies had attached to me for being so public over the last 5 years. I didn't quite realise what had happened. But I've always just done a lot of work on myself. I've always taken 100% personal responsibility, and I've just chipped away and chipped away at my health and my emotional health and my spiritual
mm.
health. And so, if you do the work, then you eventually get there. It's a war of attrition a lot of the time, and it's a really long war. But you do the work, you get the results, and it's really kicking
I
in now.
remember.
I stopped drinking coffee, and that was a massive thing for me. I gave coffee no credit for
Yeah.
anything, and
Yep.
it really had its fingers. It had fingers I didn't even know I had in pies I never even knew existed. It was I'm a totally different person. It was only
I
two
love.
months ago. I'm
I
looking
only
at
have one
myself on
coffee.
camera.
Yeah.
But I was also, there was times, that's 5 years is a long time to be on camera. That was a big chunk of anyone's life, but a very roller
Yep.
coastery time for humanity. And so the guy that did the videos in the first part was sort of different to the guy after he got arrested and all that stuff happened. And then I was on the
Well, I
farm by
remember seeing
myself. And
you
then,
actually standing on a kind of a podium thing talking. Was that at the stand in the parks, or I think it was actually in
oh
the
no,
city?
I was organising all the big protests in Sydney as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I was emceeing all of those, and then it was the sixth one that I'd organised. It was in the middle of a lockdown, so I withdrew the permit, but it went ahead anyway. That was the one where apparently the guy punched the horse in Sydney,
Oh,
and that was the one that I
punched
got
the horse.
arrested for. It went ahead anyway, and the cops knew I sort of organised it. And so less than a week later, I was in jail, and I got kicked out of Sydney. I had 24 hours to leave Sydney, and
Oh my
just got
God.
dragged through the press, dragged through the
Did they
mud. And
accuse you of punching the horse, or they just because you
no,
started the whole
they
thing?
knew I organised that protest, but I wasn't meant to, and so they wanted my phone, and they wanted a big scalp to parade around, and then they dropped all. They couldn't prove anything. And then they dropped all the charges afterwards, but it cost me probably 20 grand, and I got kicked. I wasn't allowed within 200 kilometres of Sydney, and had to leave they escorted me out of Sydney. They were 24 hours
Wow.
from the time of leaving jail to leave Sydney. They were waiting at the top of my driveway. I had to leave my whole house there full of stuff and get the fuck
Oh
out of
my
Dodge. It
God.
was crazy.
How long
But
were you in jail
it
for?
was hectic. Only a couple of days.
Yeah.
But they were flying drones over my house. They were listening to my phone calls. They were following me around,
Mm.
and it was pretty
Um,
full on.
love to shows the magic shows, the illusions, delusions we accept are programmed. We're programmed with. Yeah. Wow. I didn't actually. Well, I didn't know that, but there's been so many things going on, and so many people being shh in that way. Told to shut
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, and that's what it was. I was a political prisoner. That was out
Yep.
and out, shut up. Yeah,
But
but
we needed
I'd do it all
people.
again.
Yeah, exactly. Me too. I mean, if I was to do it now, I'd be in a different way, because at that point I was very much trying to keep out there, go to protests, but also stay home for our kids, because I didn't want to be like two weirdo parents, always, part of this thing. But now I would definitely be more. Yeah, I'll probably get arrested for saying that, so I won't say the last word of the sentence. We're all going to get arrested, aren't we?
Well, and a lot of people will. What we saw happen will never happen again. That was a one-off. It caught us completely blindsided us. We had no idea that we could be sold out at that level by our own government, and that
Yeah,
evil on the planet could exist. I mean, it was so shocking and so quick, that it really caught a lot of people off guard. Next
yeah.
time, it'll be a very, very,
Oh,
very different thing.
absolutely,
They are losing
absolutely.
this battle so badly. They are so
Mm,
badly losing this that it's embarrassing that they're continuing on with it. The environmental stuff, the financial stuff, the governance stuff, the tech
yeah,
stuff, the free speech stuff, the trans stuff, like it's all just completely blown out of the water.
it's ridiculous, and that's really inspiring to hear that. And I think that's the belief that we have to continue to have, because that's the almost like, you can't touch me, even though they're touching you by sticking this crap in us. But we have to be that way. We reimburse for your fine.
No,
No, of course not.
no, there was
God.
all the fines, and then it was 20 grand in legal fees, and then the
Mm,
upheaval of my life probably cost me.
yep.
But I still fully fund to stand in the park. No one's bought a t-shirt in ages, and so the freedom stuff's cost me sort of many, many,
Well,
many tens of thousands of dollars.
wow. Wow. Does anyone want to buy books, t-shirts? Yeah, so you're not in Sydney anymore anyway. Well,
I live in Byron Bay now.
was that partly to get you? Did you feel like, I don't want to be around this city?
Oh,
Or
I was leaving Sydney anyway when I
Mm,
was arrested. I was actually in the process of leaving Sydney, and so
right.
that really helped. I was actually leaving, and then
Mm,
I tried around Port Macquarie. I got bailed to my mum's house, and so I tried living around there, but it's a bit too old down there,
yep.
bit too family, quite a retirement village, and so Byron Bay is a nice mix for me. I don't want to live in a city, and I think this will live and die in the cities. I think if you can get out of the city, you should.
Mm, I
Um,
I know.
but
I've always got one foot out, I have to say, yeah. And I only rent, and like, so I'm not on a lease if I needed to. Yeah, I just kind of have to be here a bit more for the kids, I think. But
mm,
if I could get them to, I don't think they would, but yeah, I don't know how long I'll be here for. Even doing what I'm doing with the theatre, so I am trying to get some plays up again. And you can feel there's a battle here. Um, are people going to come to see a play in Sydney, in Melbourne? Everything seems to be quite a bit of an effort.
mm.
Um, But, we can't all live in Byron Bay though, can we? We're like, because then it wouldn't
No.
be Byron Bay. That Byron Bay was actually the place that brought me back to Australia 26 years ago, because I came here on a holiday, and it was when it was really empty. And, and I went back to England. I thought, oh my God, that was just like paradise. I want to
Yeah.
go. I want to go back to. I want to go to Australia, and yeah, the last time I went up there, it was very different. But yeah, there's lots of beautiful places in Australia. Anyway, now I'm kind of rambling on. Is there anything else you would like to talk about? Bring up?
It's really, really, really important to stay in some sort of community here. It still amazes me that a lot of people don't see what a stand in the park is and does and has done and will do. We need to constantly show our face and draw a line in the sand and be a visible face for freedom, and so it does that. But it also is really, really important to have a safe space that's non-threatening, that doesn't have an agenda, at the same time as we're moving our bodies, and have these physical energy exchanges. If you're online too much at whatever capacity, you need to get off it, but you also need to have a physical grounding for what you know. You need to be around people that know the same stuff as you do and will genuinely have your back if and
Mm,
you would have theirs if the time comes. And that place is
mm,
a stand in the park. We've got to be a part of community here. You have to keep moving your body. You've got the opportunity to protest once a month. It's only an hour a month, but you've got the opportunity to move your body and show yourself as an energetic pinpoint with other people all over the world at a stand in the park and have a nice cup of coffee with some people that you love at the same time.
or tea,
Very,
tea
very,
now.
very, very important. Tea, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Um.
really important. It's so unassuming, so simple and so unassuming that it flies under the radar, but it's the
Yeah.
perfect thing. It's that reason that makes it so powerful.
Two things. Is it bradygunn.com.au or just
No,
com?
just dot com. Yeah.
Okay. Um. So whereabouts is this stand in the park in? It's how do they know about them? They have to go to the page. Yeah.
Standinthepark.org. So
Yeah.
it grew to about 1,500 in about 40 countries. It seems to be about 1,100. It's hard to know whether people tell us whether they're still standing or not, but it seems to be about 1,100 in about 30 countries at the moment.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
so
I think I'm
if you,
Facebook friends with someone in England who's just through that. I don't
yeah,
know
I think there's
Melbourne.
about 700 still going in the UK. But some of them aren't operating, so it's hard to tell. But
Yeah, I don't know if
if you
Melbourne's
believe in a
doing
stand
it.
in the park and you sort of see the vision, then restart it and market it.
Yeah.
And a stand in the
Yeah.
park is not an organisation. I fully fund the whole thing myself. I've never said I was the leader of a stand in the park. Quite the opposite.
Mm.
I said I'm standing in the park for my freedom and my truth. If you want to stand for your truth, we'll stand together.
Yep.
It was always totally linear. But it's up to all of us to promote it and put it up on the community groups and treat it like
Yeah.
our own because we believe in it. I can't carry the whole thing. It's not that design thing.
That's yeah. I just want to ask: does anybody know? Is there one going in Melbourne? Because
Yeah,
I've
there's a
never
few.
hear about it. Right.
Yeah, but
Okay.
I'm
Well, that.
still heavily, heavily censored. The censorship on me now is as bad
Mm,
as it's been in the last 5 years for just saying my silly videos and making
yeah.
jokes and taking the piss and trying to inspire everybody.
How
And so
dare you?
it's for two reasons. One, because
Yep.
they know that I'm on top of them and I'm actually raising the vibe. But two, because
Yep.
Stand in the Park works. The last thing
Yeah.
they want is parks full of yellow people all over the world standing for truth and freedom together and connecting. They really,
Yeah.
really hate it. That's why they've always censored it. And if you look at what's happened, like they've really censored it very heavily, very heavily.
I
But it's because it
I do
works.
see it. It does come up, but someone said they can't get onto your page. Um, but so stand in the park. Go to
I can
that
check
on
that.
Facebook anywhere and find your local one. I'll go to them for sure. But to be honest, I've never heard of them in Melbourne. They must have been here originally.
Yeah, there's a few still operating though.
Mm,
Get on the website and see, and wear something
yeah,
yellow and put it up on the community, your local community group that you're heading down there, or put it on a Stand in the Park Australia and try and get some people down there because there's been cases of people walking straight past each other and not knowing that they're there for a stand in the park. And
right.
it needs some effort. There needs some ownership from other people that believe in it to sort of pick it up and run with it, like they have when there was a really physical sort of push towards it
Yeah.
in mandates and lockdowns. Then the hundreds and
And
hundreds and hundreds of people.
does it get people questioning? Does it get people coming along and going, what's this about? Why are you standing here in yellow?
Oh, so they're very different, and so a lot of
Mm,
people have got signs and flags and standing in a quite a high traffic zone. Other people are just sort of down there to meet up, so they're in a more secluded
yeah.
place, and it's
Okay.
about the connection. So they're very, very different. Some have speakers and fairgrounds and food stalls and everything.
Mm.
Um,
Oh,
it's
well, I'm gonna
nothing.
look them up. And Victoria, hi there, and I'm sorry I haven't got to Cessnock yet with the play, Marooned. I don't know if you heard the beginning of this. I found out a friend's 18-year-old took his life, and the play needs to get as far as it can. My idea was actually to make it into a film, and that way it could get everywhere. But I'm looking to get some funding through farmers. Sorry, I'm just talking to her because she wanted to bring the play up to Cessnock, which is near Port Macquarie, I think. Anyway, so there are 2 stand-up parks in Adelaide. Thank you so much for coming on. If anybody wants to see any of his books, buy any of his books, go to bradygunn.com, go to Stand in the Park and have a look at, they've started using yellow for raising money for cancer. Yeah, they've heard you. Well, you have to put the words on it then. And probably if you're standing, you're probably doing something different because maybe people are mostly sitting. Anyway, common sense. Well, it comes from here. That's the moral of the story. Get into yourself. Read The Art of Shhh to stop all the negatives. Stop the self-sabotaging and the inner critic. Thanks so much for coming
Thanks.
on.
Appreciate it. Look forward to meeting you one day.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on.
What's that?
Oh, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Oh, no, of course. I would love to come up to get some sun soon. We don't have. I'm going to do a little ad here, so I'm just going to say goodbye, and not moving it away from your book or anything. It's just I am going to have a sponsor with Madalena, so I'm doing it's not an ad actually. It's a video that I did the other day. So I'll put you down here and see you a bit. So where do I go? Over here, and I'm going to play this. I hope
the serums as well are really good. So with these,
okay, so I'm going to be making a real video, a real little ad for her with my son. So look out for that. And thank you everybody for watching. I'm going to end with the end, and I'm going to go off to have a meeting about another play that I'm getting up called The Magnolia Tree with Carla Bonner and Chris Connolly. And that will be on in Colac at the Red Rock Regional Arts Theatre on the 23rd of August. There's 2 shows. So if you're in that area and you want to come along, please go buy a ticket. And I'll be putting that up soon. Okay. Thanks so much, everyone, for watching today.
But wait. Can you hear our children crying? They're calling from all over this land. They're glaring at today's page.